Good afternoon, everybody. So thank you for this wonderful opportunity. We are here for the EPSS 15th anniversary. And when I got the first call that I should come and be a moderator, my spirit left me. But because of the COVID lockdown, the spirit could not go out. So I was grateful for the lockdown once again. We'll be inviting our panel guests for the discussion. And before I invite them, I wanted to say that, Madam, please, hold on. We will call you later because when you were doing your opening speech, you almost cried. We didn't see the cry. We want to see the cry, the breaking loose. You didn't let it go, and it may cause traumatic conditions. So we'll call you back to cry later. Thank you. Okay, so we'll be inviting our number one panelist in no particular order. I learned that in no particular order somewhere because they called somebody first and the other person said, why did they call him first? So please, in no particular order, welcome Mr. Seyi Adetayo. As he takes his seat, can sit anywhere, Mr. Dixon Seyi Adetayo, PCI, CSS, CSO, PFSO. Is a very, is a major computer security expert. He's a security consultant of repute, and he was a former regional vice president, ASIS International Region 11A. He successfully hosted the 2019 African Security Conference in Port Harcourt. He is one of the speakers in the just concluded Securest West Africa Conference in Lagos, an international security exhibition. And I will add that is one of the behind the scene machinery for private security in Nigeria. You are welcome, sir. Our second panelist, so they put the woman in the middle, is Mrs. Tanwa Ashiru. Please put your hands together. Mrs. Tanwa Ashiru is a defense intelligence and security solution provider. And you can't see it in her face. These are the type of people that will enter your house and take everything and go. Across sub-Saharan Africa, she hails from Nigeria, and she's also an enterprise risk management consultant. Tanwa is the CEO of Bulwark Intelligence Organization, provides security solutions mainly functional in sub-Saharan Africa. She's a wife and a mother. We know. Yeah. She was an intelligence analyst at the United States Air Force from 2003 to 2010. Then she was a counter-IED intelligence analyst in Lockheed Martins. She has 14 years experience as an intelligence analyst. You are welcome, ma'am. So we welcome our third panelist, Mr. Dr. Barrister Wilson A. Sangbedo. I almost added praise the Lord. And the audience will say, Barrister Wilson A. Sangbedo is the current national president of the Association of Licensed Private Security Practitioners of Nigeria, with more than 26 years experience in security management operations and investigations. He has the ability to grasp new ideas and integrate them into the desired result by combining patience, determination, and perseverance to troubleshoot issues as they arise. He has a unique international background, broad certification in security management. He is the secretary of NIIS. You are welcome, sir. I must add that They didn't add it for me. I'm currently the national PRO of the association. He's the president. And I'm happy that I'm holding the mic today so that I will continue to be his spokesperson. Thank you very much. So let's proceed. We are going to be looking at private security service, industry, and the 2023 elections. I think we have 3 sections here. We don't have enough time. Your profiles were very long, so it has taken our time. So the private security service, 1, that is the industry, the 2023 elections, and the way forward. I think, let me start from my immediate right. Let me invite Mrs. Stanwa Ashiru to share her thoughts on these 3 points briefly. Thank you.
Thank you. And hello, everyone. Thanks for this opportunity. Budaka, congratulations. Congratulations to the whole EPSS family. We know that this is it's a big deal. It's not easy what you're doing. And we greatly, greatly appreciate this opportunity. You know, this 2023 elections that we're going into, normally I don't fear much of anything. You know, things happen, it's okay, everything will be fine. This is Nigeria. We've been on the brink for how many years now? We dance on the brink. This is what we do. However, for the first time in a long time, I'm genuinely worried about the direction of this country for several different reasons. One of the ones that really stuck out for me are the multitude of armed non-state actors that are now at play across the entire federation. Now, I was telling someone the other day, we were looking at the charts, right? Analysts, that's where you look at data, looking at the charts. And we noticed that attacks in Borno State had dropped significantly. Not just attacks, but also fatalities. You know, the peak of it was 2015, 2016, when Boko Haram was responsible for a lot of deaths. But then now we're looking at the charts, Borno State has dropped, meaning it's a lot safer, correct? So you would think, except we pulled up the charts for the other states across the Northwest, and the exact opposite is taking place. Those charts are rising all the way from Zamfara, Sokoto, even Kebbi, that for the longest we always said it was the safest state in Nigeria because we barely got any security incidents. If there was anything, maybe some people drowned in the river that's there. But now we're seeing attacks on infrastructures that, you know, foreigners are coming to build and trying to invest in your country, and they're being directly attacked. And the worst part is the response from the government has not been encouraging. Don't get me wrong, they are doing a lot. You know, oftentimes when I do these security assessments, we pull up different maps, and we have 2 different maps. We have one that shows the maps of the activities of the good guys. So all the law enforcement, the military, NSCDC, everybody, they're working. Even vigilantes, we put them there. And then we have the maps of all the bad guys, from the pirates to the militants, to the unknown gunmen, to, you know, the bandits, the terrorists. And the activities of the bad guys are 3 times more than that of the good guys. It's showing us a couple of things. Number one, there are law enforcement, government security forces cannot keep up at the moment. Number 2, the number of bad actors are increasing exponentially. We went from only having Boko Haram at one point to now having Boko Haram operatives, Ansaru operating, ISWAP now operating, and we know that Ansaru has ties to Al-Qaeda in Islamic Maghreb, so that's Al-Qaeda that's operating in Mali. And we're just worried, what is going on? The other day, they explained that they're now in Niger State, conducting attacks over there. It's spreading. Kaduna is a hotbed of Ansaru, another terrorist organization. What is the government doing? So for the first, and again, unemployment, youth unemployment has skyrocketed. Let's not even talk about youth unemployment. Even us here, even security professionals, people who are knowledgeable, people who are educated, everyone is feeling the heat. I was recently at an event, and I'll close up with, at this event, it had all the prominent people in Nigeria. I call them the owners of Nigeria, Nigeria PLC. And at that event, the purpose of it was they all came together to agree. And I'm talking about the billionaires in this country, the lawmakers, the senators, number 1, 2, 3, all of them. And they came together to say, you know what? Let's all agree that the last 8 years have been a hot mess. Even for us as business owners, as bank owners, it's been a hot mess. Oil and gas, I was just talking to my brother there, the level of theft in oil and gas now has reached levels that even people in that industry are wondering, what's the point? It's straight loss. So they came together to say, the last 8 years have been really bad. We need to make sure that going forward, first of all, we don't make this mistake again, having people in power that are leading us down the wrong path for Nigeria. And second of all, how do we make sure that the elections actually take place? Because we know the boiling pot that's going on right now. So I guess that's my opening statement. This topic, this discussion is so critical in this moment. And we, as the private sector, really need to try to figure out where we fit in and how we can help. The truth is the government's security forces, and that's one of the areas that we're going to try and start clarifying as we move the elections. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have a mic here? Okay. All right. Mr. Wilson Nesangbedo, let's keep. And sir, I would like you to just briefly this industry, 2023 elections and the way forward.
Okay, I want to thank you. We know what we go through as operators at this time. And we are trying to currently engage our regulators so that things can be done differently. The way we find ourselves as operators in this country is because of the current state of regulation, where the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps regulates us. That's not the position in other parts of the world. So we are trying to make the best out of what we have. And what we are trying to do basically is the net 86. So about 2 years ago, we started after the case of University of Calabar and the Ritz Continental Hotel case. We started the process of trying to have a brand new act that will regulate our industry. Because 1986 Act says there are many things we can't do. We cannot use handcuffs. We cannot use tear gas. And we are just there to guard, we are just there to watch, we are just there to alert. That's all we are allowed to do. Unlike what happens in other parts of the world, where the private guards are the first line of defense. So what we have done is, in our country, the first line of defense is not us. The first line of defense is the internal security, which is the police. And that's why we're having all the problems we are having, because the police is overworked. They don't have enough men. 1/3 of the police force, they are attached VIPs. And we have been telling government that that should not happen. We have what it takes within our industry. We have a lot of retired generals, retired IGPs that have that company. Then we also have another component. We have ex-military officers, police, law enforcement. They're actually part of the workforce. And these are people that have been trained on how to handle weapons. So we're making the case that we should be allowed to carry weapons. Though in National Assembly, they came up with a law that everybody should be allowed to carry weapons. And we're saying, no, let us start with us, as is the case in other parts of the world, where private guards are allowed to carry arms. So once we start from there, we'll have more policemen to do their work. Now, the military people are also involved in internal security because we don't have enough policemen. So the military that would have been there to do other things are also involved in internal security. So that's part of the challenge that we have. But as an industry, what we're also trying to do is to make sure that we know our numbers, our exact number. We know we're estimated at 4 million, but we started a gas enumeration program to know the exact number of gas we have in the industry so we can properly engage government. And then we also know from the various statistics that have come out, we know we are like the number 3 largest employer of labor in the country. But our industry is not giving the right recognition that it should have. And that's why for us, as an industry, it starts from the brand new act, the Private Industry Act, which the draft came out. The draft of that act came out last year. But some things happened. In the way you're trying to do something different, you have people that want to make sure you don't achieve those goals. So I would say there was like sabotage, as it were. So the clauses they removed, we put the clauses back, and we're trying to take it back to the minister's office, Minister of Interior, so to go into the National Assembly as an executive bill. And the proposal there is that we'll be allowed to carry arms, the industry will be expanded so that they can actually play their role. If that happens before the end of the year, yes, during the election, we'll definitely have a role to play. But in that act, a role has been provided, that draft, a role has been provided for us to play. So that's what we're looking at, basically. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. You see how calmly disposition just laid it out. And that's the fact. That was what we got in the keynote address also, talking about who and what regulations should approve the use of firearms. You know, and that brings us to Mr. Sheyi Adetayo, who has also been an agency personnel. He has been a provider, and he has also been an intelligence person. So you seem to have a clause around what you need to tell us now. While looking at these topics, the private security industry service and 2023 elections to the way forward. Kindly, sir.
Very much. Let me start by congratulating Buduka. 15 years is no joke. Not many companies in the industry, but you've done 15 years and you are still waxing stronger. So congratulations. I totally agree with the two speakers. I only just contribute or add more to what they've said. You know, Tawa has been able to, lay it bare in the situation as it is. And Barrister Wilson, I'd be able to speak about what's there as a body currently managing the association responsible for GAT services in Nigeria. And if you have to marry the current situation with what the private security sector can do, then we have to take it holistically. Just last week, I was having a conversation with Tawa, and it's unfortunate that, I know there are a lot of ideas flying up there, but the truth I've seen in recent times are the right kind of idea out there. Just yesterday, Lagos State government said is banning Okada. Okada is not just a problem in Lagos, there's a problem everywhere. In Ogun State, in Abuja, you saw the video of what happened at Day. They were attacking people that were going on their own. People who didn't know anything about what happened, and that is the menace. This menace will become a major problem. We saw the response that we had from the response we had from the outside communities in Lagos. While some are saying they agree with the state government, the Seriki Hausa in Agege and the community, but there are others that are begging the governor to consider 2023 election and rescind that policy because there are people are huge voters. Now, they're using that as a bargaining chip for the government. And it's not just going to be here. It's going to be everywhere that we're going to end up electing people who would not be able to do what they're supposed to do, because while they were contesting, they were begging people to allow to mobilize their people to support them, and they will allow them to do their business. Now, I know Lagos State is resolute. Some other governor might want to chicken out and say, election is by the corner. If these people don't vote for me, I will lose the election. Now, between yesterday and today, I spoke with critical, stakeholders in Lagos, both in state government. I was on phone with the Commissioner of Police Lagos State this morning, and I shared my thoughts with them, and they all agree with me. And I expect that Lagos State government will do something the next 1 week. It's just like when you talk about bribery, it takes a giver for a taker to exist. If someone don't give, nobody will take. If you don't begin to implement such in what we do right now, we will continue pushing our security agencies into so many areas, and we'll leave, because now when they start enforcement June 1, police are going to leave other core functions and start chasing Okada riders, and other areas will be exposed. An election is coming. But I said, why don't Lagos State enact a law that will not only penalize the Okada rider, but also penalize the person who is hailing the Okada to carry Okada in the illegal area. So if you take Okada in an illegal area, we pound the Okada, then you on top of it, you go on 24 hours community service. When people know that what they are rushing to go and do, that is making them to take Okada, will end up not being possible because they will be arrested and they'll be forced on community service. They will not take Okada. If nobody is hailing Okada in Ikeja, Okada rider will not exist. That will remove burden from the Nigerian police. They will be able to continue to do their work. We need to begin to, and that is the help from the private security. When we are allowed to speak, when we are engaged, they will get the best of advice. We have seen both sides. I work with government, spent years, and I retired voluntarily from the Department of State Service. I'm in corporate, so I've seen both ends. I know the pressure that those government faces, and I know the pressure, and what we can give from the private sector. And now that is just one example. And they both agree with me, and I expect that they're going to engage the Mr. Governor today, and something should be out in this direction. I spoke to a special advisor to the governor yesterday night. I expect that something will happen within the next few days. If we implement this, police don't need to start running after Okada because they will not exist. Again, on their own, they will fizzle out. Now, back to the issue we are having now. Majority of the police are supposed to work with us. They are either in those critical areas doing roadblocks and the rest, and some are in private companies. In other crimes, you don't take government resources to protect carry out direct protection for private investment. You need to give them their own structure which they can use to. But the question here is that, and these are the critical things, and I was having a conversation with Mr. Wilson here. Number one, the issue of trust is there. Two, framework. Framework goes beyond you enacting law. There are so many things that need to go in place in the place. And I know generally we understand what I'm talking about. If you are going to run a armed guard company as a private sector, there must be armory. There must be regulation as to armory, one, procurement of the weapon. Those who can procure weapon right now are government agencies. So there must be a company that will be licensed to bring in arms for private security. There must be an enactment of law and regulatory standard for that. Armory, there must be an enactment of law as to, for you to run a private guard company, there must be certain structure, how an armory must be, what you must have. Then thirdly, there must be training where armed guards will be trained. Then number four is, where do you solve these people from? Trust me, government will not agree to implement private guard carrying weapon with what we have currently. But what can make us to have this is what conversation we had last week. Number one, Nigeria is bedeviled with crisis everywhere now. The current armed forces, according to Global Firepower, is about 300 and something thousand, maybe moving to about 450,000 active. No, they are not even up to active. Do we have? I think active is about 200 and something thousand active men in the Nigerian armed forces today. Now, the problem we have, they cannot solve it. They are overwhelmed. They've lost so many people. Recruitment is not actually enough. Some people are also retiring. For us to be able to tackle it, we need additional at least 1 million foot soldiers on ground. Now, I know the question government will always raise is that, how do we take care of logistics, their countrymen, the weapon,
the food, the vehicle they are going to be using, where we are going to house them and the rest. And I know that all the money we are spending on heavy armament right now can be used to take care of that. And the next question is that, okay, you said if we employ 1 million, how do we sustain them for a long time after that? I said, what we're saying is that take them for a short service program like 5 years. Have a program where in the next 5 years, in the next 2 years, you employ up to 1 million. Because if we go into civil war today, government will be forced to conscript people by fire by force to fight, isn't it? So instead of conscripting people, why don't we now take people voluntarily to join the armed forces right now? And then we'll make all this provision for 5 years program. And we'll ensure that the next 5 years we'll reduce this insecurity to about 80%, leaving only about 20%. Then discharge about 80% of them. The 80% of that will discharge. If you already have within now and the next 5 years, the good framework within the private security, we will be able to absorb them. And our armed guard service that we want to, this crop of people can form the basis in which the private security company can be able to have the human resources because they've already been trained. They've signed, just like those who retire from the military. You don't have any issue with them. Are you with me now? Because they've been trained. They the discipline is there. This set of people will form the basis, the pipeline for us to now start implementing the private armed guard service. And I'm sure that if we're able to, I've had conversation with one presidential candidate just a few days ago. I've had conversation with 3 other presidential candidates, close, people close in their team, and then we discuss around this. This is the solution. If we're going to 2023 election, we need to be able to push things out there for the candidates to understand that we are relevant as an industry. This is the solution that we have. The solution that as you have been sworn in May 29, 2023, you already have something to use in solving this problem. And then it will not be a burden on you forever because you said we are third in line in terms of employer. We have the capacity to be the largest employer of labor in Nigeria. Thank you. As an association licensed private security practitioner of Nigeria, we are determined to ensure that within the shortest possible time, we have a brand new act. The private industry bill, draft bill becomes an act, but that will change our story. That will make us recognized by the government security agencies, and we'll be able to play our role, our proper role in the country.
Okay, let me just speak to what he said. This is my fear. One thing is for the National Assembly to to pass a bill. Another thing is for you to get assent from the president. If there are certain things are not put in place, for them to have that guarantee, they will not. Just like the Peace Corps. It's not just only Peace Corps. There are several things because they believe that National Assembly people, I'm sorry to say this, you can easily get a bill passed if you can rub hands, if you can drop money and you can lobby, you get things passed. And it does not ordinarily most times serve the purpose of the country. That's the reason why Peace Corps bill was present. So we need to do a lot beyond just the National Assembly. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. When it's all said and done, we're all here. We're in Nigeria. We cannot escape the threats and escape the risks that we're all exposed to. So my charge is for those who are in the private sector, because as much as we want to keep pushing the private sector to do more, we cannot ignore the fact that the dearth of knowledge is also still lacking. I'm talking about corporate entities that are actively looking for good, CSOs, good security managers, and they still can't find them. So I just want to implore that private sector, especially you as the individual, you need to start trying to learn the new concepts, the ESRMs we keep talking about. You said again, corporate security, corporate and public sector are actually two completely different things. I had to learn that the hard way as well. So how do you start learning those concepts? How do you start learning how to protect your company as we're going into this very volatile season? this period between now, May and February of next year are going to be very crucial and very critical. A lot of company assets are going to be targeted, like you mentioned with the vehicles in Abuja. So how do you start learning? How do you make yourself relevant in your company? Start using ESRM principles. Identify what those assets are. Go around and talk to your people. Talk to your HR. What are you worried about? Talk to your facilities. What are you worried about? And then help prioritize these assets, identify the risks, and then figure out, okay, we're going to tackle it based on the ones with the highest risks, the highest exposures. Once you're able to do that, you will start noticing that in your company, they will not make a move without consulting you first. And ultimately, this is where we want to get to as the private sector. Thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. I would like to appreciate Major General Ejemai because the opening keynote really captured all of these discussions. And for Barrister Wisin, he has appropriately presented the situation before the Association of Licensed Private Security. And all other entanglements towards 2023 has been identified by the other two panelists. So it's definite that we're going to have some hotspots. It's definite that the structure we see as our private security is actually not recognized. And so the pressure on the agencies will collapse their capabilities and we'll see vulnerabilities. So what do we do from here? Because I know somebody from the government will have access to this rich presentation. What do we do from here? If you feel unconcerned, it may happen to you. You know, so whatever you do in the Senate, in the National Assembly, in all the executive offices in government, you must begin to put pen to paper to address the right issues for security. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for this opportunity. Thank you.